Hello everyone, how you doing today? Got a couple things to show you today. One, you kind of seen both of them before, just not at their current state. So I've got this new module that I'm going to release tomorrow, I believe, to the workshop. And I've been doing a lot of work on this Kriel crazy ship. Yeah, I've got the body pretty much complete on it, or the base block work. As texturing, I'll probably like do little tweaks here and there, but kind of get the idea of what this is looking like. And the bottom side here, um, it's a lot of little things for cosmetics, but it is a warship, and it's meant to be a warship, and it's got a lot of guns on it. It's gonna need some quantum cores right off the gates too. Well, maybe. I'm still configuring some of the weapons. Now I haven't set any of the weapon types to anything but cannons. As kind of a placeholder right now. But that's pretty much how it came out. I'm kind of yeah, I do like the weird look of this. It's kind of hard to describe. You know, it was brought up in some comments that a little bit of a look like a Klingon bird of prey, but not really because it's kind of insect-like, sort of too. So yeah, I don't know, but it's fun. It's fun. um, so yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at on this. Now it is combat steel hull. I didn't put any Xeno in this at the time. It'll probably have some though, but I'm kind of going for looks on the body and everything, and I don't want to run too much Xeno that's visible. The Xeno you'd probably see would probably be filling in interior areas that you're not really going to see, especially on this nose section here, which is kind of a big decoy. Um, Now, beyond the turrets, and actually, what are the turret count is it's running quite a bit. So 47 plus 23, so yeah, we got about 70 turrets, and then it's got currently eight these heavy laser cannons equipped, but that's probably going to swap to the artillery or those big manual firing rocket launchers. Now, what I'm doing with these, and I believe if I make a couple changes, there'll be a lot more room to get more in yet of these launchers. This back area, literally every couple spaces could have another launcher, mostly going through here, except for it does have to avoid some thrusters in some places. Now, last time I was talking about pitch and roll and things like that, I never did get roll very good. I did pull those the down thrusters out of this, and I kind of filled that area in with some blocks, and I moved the down thrusters. I went to the smaller size. Originally, I wanted to run all XLs, but it's more of a fitting thing. I needed to get them in places that XLs could not fit without like serious body work. So I put one down there, one over here, and same thing on the other side. For lift thrust, it's dependent on two XLs that are kind of off to the wings as well. In fact, there's no thrusters on the center section of this at all. So everything's been kept out to these arm things. Um, so I'll have to outfit this with proper weaponry and things like that, and evaluate CPU. It's going to need warp. It's going to need a T2 shield and other things that are going to shoot up CPU yet, and it's already got 6 quantum cores in it. How it sits. Taking a look at the CPU here, we're at. It probably doesn't need all 6 right now. In fact, I could probably put the rest of the stuff in there. But yeah, 6 quantum cores, which is bringing it up a little above 2.8 million CPU. Which it doesn't need that much currently, but it will. It will. um, So yeah, I'm kind of excited for this. I want to once I get this textured and brought into game, I'll have a good chance to test it out, and then I'll get that released shortly after I can get some combat time in with it. But I think it's gonna be fun. Now this creation also behaves better with some RCS in it. In fact, in testing, 4 RCS seemed to give it a little more life. Flying this around, it's probably going to gain some weight yet, due to the nature that it's completely unfinished inside, and It turns all right. It's got good speed, but again, the roll is just terrible. Um, but the RCS did help with that some. I didn't notice much of a difference with 2, but once you get like 4 in there, it seemed to be just generally more responsive. And that's the thing. Obviously, if this was built out of Xeno instead of combat steel, I'd lose like 1/3 of the weight and it would move better. But I mean, that's terrible for looks and everything else. Not to mention you would need Xeno in game, which is certainly takes longer to acquire, wrecking POIs and salvaging them. So I didn't. There's no launchers or anything in these front areas. Originally, I was kind of like thinking I got these slots here where I could add some more launchers there, but those would be prime targets because out the front of the ship, especially the nose and probably the tips of both of these would probably take the. Well, it's supposed to take the most amount of damage. Um, Now, one last debate I've been having too, and this kind of goes back in thinking about RP and cosmetics versus like function. And I have a little bit of an internal debate on this one here. Um, with a ship like this, I've got a decent interior. I've got this nose thing. I have thought about trying to add a first-person cockpit to this, and maybe like up front here or something like that, a little glass row, and you could have a neat little hallway kind of coming down through this angled section into the front there and operate it like a normal ship, and then also have a secure cockpit like in the hardened back area here, which could be very tough actually. There's literally like nothing in here that could be filled in a lot. Um, so that's one idea, but it would weaken it if I did that and filled this area in with like an open air, a bridge, with windows and stuff like that. It would just weaken this area, which would get pummeled in any serious combat. Which to me doesn't seem like necessarily a good plan, but for the role playing factor and having like a more immersive interior on a ship, it would be really cool. Flip side of that would be to basically maybe put in a decoy or something in this front area and mostly fill it in with probably xenoblocks and not really start having the interior space up until you get into this main part of the ship back over here behind all that stuff, which I think would keep you a whole lot safer. Now, it would have that kind of bridge here anyway, but I guess it depends. Should I try to make this RP value of having all this going on? And I do like first-person cockpits. Other thoughts were to add a cockpit or something like maybe in this section. But cosmetically speaking, I just don't think that would look neat. It would look like this is a nose rather than a head, because if you had your bridge like over here somewhere in this section, this would be sticking out from that, and then it changes the appearance of making that look like a bridge to that looking like some kind of weird nose thing that's just sticking out in front of you. And I didn't really want that either, so. And it still wouldn't be all that safe even if it was over here. So, I don't know. It's just one of those debates I'm having. But that's where it's at. One last thing I wanted to show you. Now, I did start texturing this briefly. Let me get to the one that I started. And the only reason I'm showing you this, I must have ran out of fuel over there, is, oh, this doesn't have the right textures on it. Oh, no! Oh. Oh. I thought I saved it with that. I guess I did. Well, anyway, I textured the nose. Woohoo! Traditional Kriel coloring. So this is kind of what it would kind of look like in the end. Some of these are actually colored right. It's just the lighting coming off these blocks make them look like they're different tones in places. Now, what I also got cooking though, and I guess I can't show you very easily right now, is an alternative Kriel color set that is completely compatible with the existing colored Kriel set. So I'll probably be releasing that with the ship. It's possible this new color set, the ship might actually come in that color stock, and then you could put in traditional Kriel colors and use the other color sets as well. Um, my lure purpose of having a different colored Kriel would be a bit of separation on the Kriel. Now, Kriel, with the lure and everything on these guys, was supposed to be that, you know, they're like this heavily evolved insect race that's somewhere in the galaxy and been around for a long, long time. It's just they've been a long ways away from humans, and they operate like ant colony. It's a hive mind. There's a queen somewhere. They can transmit their signals through space. They in recent times, probably within the last few 100,000 years, in their evolution's timeline, they got way higher technology and stuff, because they were just kind of roaming around and like ants and building stuff. And it basically they're pretty much emotional. They don't have any emotions. They don't have any. They don't really think about anything. They're not interested in communicating to anything other than like other insect species that they evolved from themselves that they can communicate with. And basically, they're just going out and gathering resources and building their colony, and they don't have any regard for anything else. So there is no talking to the Kriel. They don't take prisoners. If you got something they want, resources wise, or you're in their way, or you could be a threat, they're just going to attack you, and that's the end of the story. And they don't care, and they don't care about if they die themselves either. They're kind of like mindless drones. So they just whatever. That's how it goes down. So now this alternative color set, and where this comes into play is back in this evolutionary time period. For a long time, there was some incident that happened that almost wiped them out. And like one faction, which is the Kriel, split away from the home planet. And then there was but there were survivors on the home planet that regained their footing over time. But now that there's basically like two different Kriel factions, they're not hostile, but they don't work together either. They're just like they're two like separate kingdoms of these guys. And the other ones would be called the Kriel Elders, which they're kind of like the origin, like where they first came from. So you have the Kriel and then the Kriel Elders, and the Elders are the more ancient ones. And they have they went on different evolutionary things, and they changed a little bit from the other Kriel. And the coloring and stuff would try to represent that. And that's I'll have to show you the coloring on the next video, and hopefully I'll have a lot more of this done. But that was just kind of a brief thing on what the Kriel is supposed to be about. Obviously, with Empyrion, I'm putting human-like things in these ships because there's just no other choice. But they weren't supposed to be like human-like at all. Like very different. Even the interiors of the ships were supposed to be, if you're going by this weird, wacky storyline lure idea, we're supposed to be way different. Very, very alien to us. I mean, like their hallways wouldn't even be like regular hallways. It would be more like ant tunnels and stuff. It'd be different. We would probably find it really sick and disgusting. But you can't do that with Empyrion and have a working ship. So it's just, yeah. But yeah, if you're going for hardcore lure and storyline, that's kind of what it would be about. And what I'm trying to do, and maybe I'll be able to show that in future screenshots and possibly a video about the Kriel, is to kind of where they're getting into they've expanded so much over time, and that's because that's all they do. That's all they care about is they can never have enough. They're always going to have more and more and more, and expand their colony, which is like survival. The bigger they are, the harder they are to take down. That's what they're thinking about. That's all they think about. They don't care about much of anything else, as far as we know. So yeah, that's it. It's kind of where they're at, and I'm trying to portray that the humans and the other factions, that have done the SCAR, the MCRN, are now starting to come into contact with Kriel, and it hasn't been pleasant. I mean, if the Kriel sees them, they don't care. They're not trying to communicate. They're not sending messages. They just fly in and just kill it, whatever. It doesn't matter to them. It's anything that can move, that's not an insect, is a threat to them, and that's how they view it. And they will attack everything, and they don't care. And they somehow. One last detail on their lure is everybody's stumped. You know, the humans, the MCRN, and everything are stumped at how these creatures got to this technology and how they're actually building these crafts. It's not better technology than the humans, but it's at the same level of technology, and they're a little dumbfounded, and I haven't quite really thought about a good, proper, plausible explanation on that one yet, or something that would sound fitting. But I have a feeling what it's going to end up being when I get it all worked out is that they came into contact with yet another race that's out there that did something with them. They gave them a lot more intelligence, or reprogrammed the queen or something. So like potentially a big bad beyond the big bad. So, and the Kriel is supposed to be the big bad in my little lure thing. They're the real evil ones, but they're not really necessarily evil. They're an ant hive, and so they're not. They don't even have any thought or care as to what they're doing. They just doing it because that's what they do, and that's all they know to do, is to expand their colony. So yeah, I just thought I'd get a little bit of lure in there in case you were kind of curious on the origins of the Kriel and what I had kind of thought about when building a lot of these things. So on the next thing, this module, the Apollo High Gravity Dropship 1, is complete, and I plan on releasing this tomorrow. Pretty happy with it. Now, I did show this on the last video. I put probably another 5-6 hours of time into it since then, just working things and tweaking things, and I think I focused in on the medical area as part of like this detail thing. I've been through lots of other areas of the ship now, just detailing everything I could detail. Adding a couple features now. One feature that I did add is I cut away some deco stuff on the ceiling and left room for a warp core. So you can put a warp core up on the ceiling. Should be out of the way enough, but it's completely optional. Like if this was docked to the Helios, and the Helios was the ship that's warping, then this wouldn't need it. So I figured I wouldn't put it on there stock, because you may not use it that way. But also, if you wanted to use this as like more of a full-fledged player ship, you would want warp on it, and you can do that. And as a full-fledged player ship, basically it doesn't do farming, and it's not a combat ship, but it is, I think, a nice hangar ship. You know, a hangar ship with a lot of production capabilities. It can lift off, it's got 4XL lift thrusters. It can take off planets, made of hardened steel, has a T2 shield. Can repair HVs and SVs. Does have a T2 repair bay. Stock, and it works for vanilla and reforged Eden. So that's another thing. I was trying to avoid putting in any parts that had to force it to be one stock, at least. I mean, you can add those in. So basically, when you first get this ship, you got this little sign over here, and it's telling you to add 2 improved cores and 1 basic core. Those core blocks are in this area here. Here will be your improved core and the basic core. Once you get those in there, the CPU will balance out in Reforged Eden. Right now it comes stock where it doesn't. It does come stock with 4 advanced cores, which makes it work in vanilla. So vanilla's got no issues. You don't need to make any changes whatsoever. Reforged Eden, you need to get those cores in to get it to the right CPU level. Now it does have another slot over here for the 5th advanced core as well. You need to put that in there if you're going to run other features such as the warp core, and another Reforged Eden only option at the time is the long range radar slot. This is awfully nice to have. So you have a location that kind of sticks in there and can work for that. Now another side little thing I added in, I had a little bit of weird spacing between the thrusters and turrets in these areas, and rather than just filling it in or leaving it empty, I put a little door here and allowed these to be like some more upgrade slot rooms. So in case you wanted to add some more fuel tanks or air tanks or even T1 generators, you got a room on either side up here that's only accessible from the outside of the ship, but you can put in some more stuff. And who knows what stuff's going to come to be over time too. It's kind of nice leaving a little bit of room at least for adding more features later on. Let's see, what else does this have? 6 advanced constructors, 2 open locations to add in a couple of deconstructors or more advanced constructors. You have your bridge over here on the same side as where that information LCD is. A couple passenger seats. On the other side across here, this is just a very small crew area. A couple beds and a bathroom with a door. Imagine that. So yeah, in case you get the food poisoning or whatever, you can go take care of it there. And then you have a shower that's right in the medical facility over here. Like last video, I was gonna try to put a toilet in this area, and I couldn't do it. I didn't like the idea of having a toilet in the hangar, and due to I didn't want to expand out any blocks into where the area of the hangar door is, I couldn't put a door on it either. So yeah, I put it in that other room and called it good. So that is about it though. I plan on releasing this ship tomorrow. Oh, there's that other T1 slot. I knew I had another generator slot. So you got 2 open T1 generator slots in the hangar area too that you can add a couple more generators. I don't believe it needs them stock, but you know, if you do something else with the ship or add some more something, you got a couple spots you can add some more generators or put them in the sides. Basically just some customizing options, obviously. Now this is also a non-exploding craft. All the thrusters have been sealed off around the interior, so none of these thrusters, if they get popped, should chain react to anything else. Again, it's not a combat ship. I wouldn't think that you should be in a situation to be having thrusters blown out, but if you do, you'll lose the thruster, but it should not, you know, do much more damage to the ship beyond losing the thruster. It's exactly a little hard to predict exactly how much damage would take place, but being hardened steel, they're able to resist the explosion damage of a thruster. Like this gets popped, all the blocks around it here should not get destroyed, letting that thruster damage into the interior of the ship or blowing out the other important, expensive, potentially parts. As in, like, cost, this thing's not exactly free either. It's kind of like the Plutus M2. It's quite expensive. But I guess it's not insanely expensive. It's going to need a fair amount of this stuff plus those extra cores, so you're going to need a lot of bridges and matrices for it. But I think once you have this, it's a good solution for like all planetary, like coming down from the Helios and doing planetary activities. And I mean, honestly too, I didn't set up the top of this to land stuff on because obviously it docks into a Helios base, and I can't put any blocks at all or anything on the top. But I mean, if you really want to load up more stuff on here too, you could probably park some SVs or something on top of this, maybe even a CV, a small CV, if you want it to look nice. I moved around a decent sized CV yesterday with it. No, I didn't do that with it. I did that with a miner. Never mind. This one's got a lot more thrust than the miner too. So it's got a lot more lift thrust. Put it that way. 4 XLs. It's an 8 320K cargo bays on here. So it's got the same lift thrust as the Charon C810 CV that I made a while back, designed for cargo storage. It's got 2 less 320K storage than that, and it's a smaller, lighter ship. So, you know, the whole point is I wanted this thing to be able to handle high gravity planets. It's untested on how much, how high of gravity this could go on yet. I'll have to do some more testing on that. But I'm thinking the results should be pretty good. I can't imagine that this would struggle too badly with getting off planets, even with all the cargo extensions filled up. I can't really add more lift thrust than that to this design, so it's about as good as it's going to get. But that should be good. That is a lot of lift power for something that size. So that's all I've got for today, and next video, probably Monday, I'll try to get a lot more work done on this, maybe even have the whole thing skinned and show you what that new color set looks like for the Kriel. I think it's kind of cool. I actually want to paint it with the new set because I don't have any problems with the existing Kriel color palette either, but it's just I like to switch things up now and then. The Kriel has been going, all the creations have been basically the same, and I haven't done any revisions at all to their texture theme since the very first Kriel that I made, which is the Kriel Gas. They have all had the same thing going on. But in this other one, obviously, is very similar. It's just different shades and different colors, but that kind of work together a little differently. All right. Well, anyway, that's all I've got for today. Got any questions? Let me know. And any ideas for this craft that you could think of that maybe I should look into before like finalizing how it's being built. Again, this is a non-exploding craft too. All the thrusters are separated. It'll have a lot. This one will have layers and layers of extra blocks in there and designed to for tougher battles, for getting into taking out the nullifiers and maybe even co-op going in on bigger ships like even dreadnoughts. But I wouldn't do it solo. I'd probably bring a friend or two and probably all be happier for it. So anyway, you all have yourself a good day. I'll talk to you later.